Hi, this is the Film Mania channel, and this is the movie Elevation. Mankind is almost wiped out by mysterious monsters that don't rise above a certain height. A scientist living in the mountains goes down to the lair to find a way to kill the monsters. The movie begins with radio conversations between the military, who are discussing the sudden attack of the mysterious monsters across the Earth. The military forces are mercilessly defeated. 3 years later, the survivors settle high in the mountains, as the monsters do not rise above 8,200 feet. In the mountains of Colorado, there is a cozy town where the survivors live. Hunter, a boy from the town, descends below the safe boundary to look through binoculars at the town on the opposite mountain. Returning home, he realizes there is a tail behind him, marked by a bright red light. Hunter runs up the slope toward the safe height boundary, and the monster chases him. At the last second, the boy manages to cross the line, after which the monster falls behind. At home, Hunter tells his father Will about what happened. He is dissatisfied with his son's behavior and reminds him that he has weak lungs that can fail at any moment. Later, a man goes hunting with Katie, a friend of his dead wife, Tara. He tells her that his son is coming down below the border to see another community. Kathy understands him. The child is bored without peers. After shooting a deer, the hunters head back with the trophy. On the way, they notice the neighbor Nina. She uses improvised materials to make ammunition, hoping to shoot through the alien scales, which are not taken by simple bullets. In the evening, Will hears an emergency alarm from the inhalation machine he hooks his son up to for the night. He changes the tank so the boy can breathe. Born prematurely, he is forced to live with underdeveloped lungs that could fail at any moment. Realizing that the oxygen supply is low, Will plans a deadly foray to the foot of the mountain, where the town of Boulder is located. The local hospital is sure to have supplies left. He spends the next day with his son, foraging for edible stubs. He trades it at the store for the last packet of macaroni and cheese, Hunter's favorite. They gorge on it with their son for dinner, after which Willa visits Katie with a couple of bottles of homemade booze. Sitting on the porch, they warmly reminisce about the carefree life of the past while observing Nina's experiments. In the evening, Hunter has another seizure, but due to the lack of cylinders, Will uses a syringe with medicine. Realizing that there is neither time nor medicine left, he goes to his neighbor's house right in the middle of the night. It turns out that Nina had previously made a foray into Boulder's lab to create a weapon against monsters using the available equipment. That's when Tara, Will's wife, died. Since Nina is the only one who made it back alive, Will asks her to escort him to the hospital. She voices her concerns, not wanting to become another victim on the list of local residents. However, realizing that this is a chance to finish what she started and get rid of the creatures, Nina agrees, inventing a compass from the monsters. In the morning, Will stocks up on weapons at a local store for a camping trip. There, he is found by Katie, who volunteers to go third. After saying goodbye to his son, the man leads the Alpha Squad along his route. Nina and Kathy exchange feminine pleasantries, inflaming the group. Unwilling to listen to the women's bickering, Will rudely interrupts the argument by knocking a flask of flammable mixture out of the scientist's hands. Noticing a military convoy broken up by monsters below, the travelers follow the trail down to the wrecked Humvee and the remains of the soldiers to search them. On the way, Nina explains that her compass can detect the monsters at 2,000 feet. They have a strong magnetic field, stronger than any living organisms on the planet. Nina gives the compass to Katie to keep an eye out for danger, while Will retrieves the gear and she digs up the scales herself for further experiments. When Will finds a grenade launcher, Katie hooks it onto her assault rifle. They are ready to continue on their way, but first they exchange pleasantries. Nina accuses Katie of hitting on her dead friend's husband, and Katie reminds her who Tara is dead because of. After exchanging hoots, the group continues on their way. Soon, they reach a ski area, where there is an elevator up the mountain. Nina notices with her homemade compass that there is a monster nearby. Its signal light is visible in the dense forest. Katie decides to run to a safe height, but Nina objects that they won't make it in time. Will runs to the control booth to start the elevator. Running back up the mountain, Katie fires a grenade launcher at the approaching monster, but it doesn't care about the explosions, while the girls shoot back at the monster. Will manages to get the power hooked up and start the elevator. He and Nina jump into the chairs and ride to the top. At this point, Katie climbs up a pole, from where she jumps towards them, clinging only with her hands. However, the monster's tentacle touches the cable, and the resulting wave throws the booth up. Katie falls, and her comrades fall down with her. The group rises, and on the seventh breath, they reach the safe zone. The monster freezes in front of them. They stay in a resort lodge for the night, consuming hot drinks for a better night's sleep. Nina tells them that the monster attack was too fast and massive, and it took a few days to wipe out almost all of humanity. It turns out that they only attack humans without touching animals, which discards the option of them being predators. Before going to bed, Will recalls a conversation with his wife before she left with Nina for the lab. The next day, the company reaches the entrance to the mine. It is a kind of transit in the mountain. Nina reminds us that only the entrance and exit are above the safe zone. In the middle is a tunnel with many offshoots below that zone, which the critters will be particularly happy to prowl. The compass will be useless as it will not work in the mountain range. However, donning miners' helmets with flashlights, they begin the journey into the depths of the mine. At the other end of the path, it turns out that the exit is locked. The only option left is to use the passage below and descend into the tunnel in the danger zone. In one of the passageways, while covering their flashlights, they notice a red light. The monster is nearby. The survivors quickly scramble away. Katie, hoping to block the entrance, fires a grenade, but it doesn't help. Together, they climb into the narrow manhole, where they knock out the flashlights and hold their breath as the monster navigates the carbon dioxide like Nina navigates a bottle of brandy. Will wins a couple of seconds by aptly throwing a flare gun. She has enough time to crawl through the gap leading to the exit. Katie crawls through first, bumping into the monster lurking on the other side. It easily strings the girl on its tentacle to Will's desperate screams. Without wasting a moment, he and Nina make their way outside using a nearby ladder. After quickly mourning their friend, they remember their mission and continue on their way to the hunting lodge where they plan to stay for the night. At the house, Will finds a package of macaroni and cheese. While eating, Nina tells him that she has a theory. Allegedly, the scales of monsters create an electromagnetic field. If she can come up with a bullet that can short-circuit it, the monsters won't be so vulnerable anymore. However, she needs to get to a lab. Will thinks her idea is absurd and regrets that his wife died trying to help with this stupid idea. In the morning, taking the owner's car, they drive down to the safe border. Taking a breath, Will hits the gas full throttle and speeds ahead, scaring away herds of wildlife. The car hurtles down to the deserted town where Mother Nature has migrated. Reaching the hospital, the travelers make their way inside. They cautiously sneak to the upper floors to the storeroom, but there are only empty shelves inside. Hearing a suspicious noise on the first floor, the pair quietly sneak further in. Will finds more cabinets, this time with supplies, and fills his backpack with them when Nina spots the presence of the monster on the compass. They run for the exit as the monster starts smashing the walls trying to get them. The men make their way to the floor above, where Will is grabbed through the wall by the tentacles, hoping to repeat his friend's fate. Nina, with a fire axe, affectionately asks the tentacles to let her friend go, to which they agree. They run to the end of the hallway. There, Will notices oxygen tanks. Telling Nina to run, the man sits in ambush and waits for the monster to appear. At the right moment, he shoots at the cylinder, and it explodes. With a shockwave, the monster leaves the hospital through the window, giving no signs of life. Nina, standing outside the door all this time, convinces Will not to go to the camp, but to stop by the lab. Agreeing, they leave just as the monster comes to. They arrive at the lab outside of town where Nina used to work. While she experiments with chemicals, putting different materials on the bullet and shooting scales, Will gives himself a tour. He walks over to her workstation, where a picture of the family has been left behind. The man didn't know she had a husband and children. Nina says she lost them in the attack because she was working that day, even though it was a day off. She still wishes she had died with them. The first attempts fail. Will offers to leave, to which Nina says she'll stay and catch up with him in her car if everything works out. The woman makes a few more samples, speeding up the process with a gas torch. As the magnet's arrow trembles at the monster's approach, she notices the batteries and decides to use cobalt as an alternative to the magnesium on which her theory was based. Nina has time to load the first sample cobalt bullet when she sees the monster approaching, which she takes in her sights. At this time, Will races toward the mountain, but a tire breaks and the car flips over, crashing into a boulder. He loses consciousness, and when he comes to, it is already dark. When he hears a monster roaring nearby, he takes his backpack with medical supplies and runs up the mountain on foot. The monsters chase him up the mountain range. The man almost makes it to safety, but a second monster is waiting for him near the border. A third monster follows. The creatures leisurely tighten a triangular ring around Will, eager to savor his fear. The moment Will realizes this is the end, the monster on top of him falls unmoving, then explodes, flying to pieces. Standing on the mountain is Nina, who has succeeded in finding an antidote against these creatures. The cobalt bullets short-circuit the monster's electromagnetic fields, triggering an explosion. The woman kills the remaining monsters, which, judging by the remains, are robots programmed to kill only humans. And judging by them, these creatures are not from around here. The pair return to the village, where Will is greeted by his joyous son. Nina picks up a cheerful Roger, a sign to the rest of the settlement that she has found a way to fight the monsters. The information is heard on all radios, and the locals have put cobalt bullets into production. After laying a bullet with Katie's name on it at the local memorial, Nina and Will set out to destroy the fantastic creatures. Now, the hunting season begins on them. The camera slowly flies over the landscape. In different corners of the misty forest, explosions are seen, signifying the destruction of the monsters. The remnants of humanity fight back bravely against the uninvited guests. And on that positive note, the movie ends. Thank you for watching.